It's time for the new book releases for the month of April. And I've noticed that maybe all of the books aren't necessarily worth our time. So I've picked 9 books that I'm interested in and a little bit excited for. So I am going to let you know what books they are, when they come out, and read the synopsis. My name is Raquel. This is where we come to celebrate and explore Black books. If that speaks to you, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let's get into it. The first book is The Art of Loving You by Natasha Bishop. This is book number 2 in the Forever Falling series. So this is part 2 of Only for the Weak. So I've never read Only for the Weak. I am familiar. I've heard that it's really good. And now that there's a book 2, I might have to get into book 1 so I can check out book number 2. So let's get into the synopsis. It says, if you're reading this, I'm dead. Danny Jenkins is a boss, a model turned influencer. She doesn't have time for taking a risk on romance. She prefers keeping things casual. But when her mentor, Tanya, dies, she is brought face to face with a man who broke her heart. Danny and Micah had their chance at love. Artist Micah Wright is a protector who loves fiercely. He's known as the man everyone can count on, but he's never forgiven himself for letting down the woman he loves. With Tanya dying, Wish forcing Danny and Micah back together to complete a scavenger hunt road trip, Micah sees a second chance for them to get things right. Does this heal all wounds? Tensions are high as their undeniable connection reignites, but Danny refuses to let her guard down. As they continue their journey, Micah is determined to prove to Danny that love is worth fighting for. But can she release her fears and relearn the art of loving? Um, I don't really know what the first book is about. I just heard that it's really, really good. So for those of you who've read Only for the Week and enjoyed it, here's your part 2. Next is Big Girl Bliss by Danielle Allen. It comes out on the 14th. This is book number 3. Now, I read book number 2 and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So, I would like to read book number 1 before this one comes out. I don't know if I will or if I'll read this one and then read the other one, but I'm definitely going to read this one. Let's get into the synopsis. It says, because life is too short and mean girls ain't ish. Jasmine Payne fled her home, and the fat phobes who made her life hell the minute she graduated high school. Growing up, her haven was her Aunt Addison, and when her health takes a drastic turn, she insists that Jazz should spice up her life. Emphasis on spice. But dating is the last thing Jazz has on her mind until Lamar Anderson sits next to her at the local sports bar. He is sexy, fun, and refreshingly drama free. With him, she's able to pretend that everything is all right. But as real life intrudes, Jazz has to decide if she can leave the past where it belongs for a love that she deserves. Um, I wish it had like a little bit more information about what was going to happen, but like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed book 2, so I guess she gave me enough to be interested. Next, we have Struck Speechless by Tati Richards. It comes out on April 28th. It says sports agent Jackie Miles is a petite powerhouse who has built her empire on killer instincts, designer stilettos, and tough skin. Her client roster is legendary. Her temper is hotter than Georgia asphalt, And aside from her French bulldog Pee Wee and her boss chick Village, she's perfectly content flying solo. Then Antonio Steele walks back into her life, and all hell breaks loose. The towering former football star turned viral agent has always known exactly which buttons to push. Just when Jackie thinks she can handle their explosive chemistry and complicated past, she mysteriously loses her voice. But this isn't ordinary laryngitis. A cryptic stranger message implies that Jackie must quiet her tongue and listen to her heart to lift whatever spell she's under. With a career defining client trip to Mexico looming and only the devastating handsome Antonio as backup, Jackie must learn to let go if she only could trust him to catch her. Struck Speechless is book two in the Boss Chick Village series following the hit rom-com Losing Sight. Um I love me a boss chick. I love me a woman in power. So that is kind of what made me interested in this. And I doubt I'll read the first book, but that one is definitely interesting. Next, number four, we have Range by by Gray Huffington. And if you guys are Gray Huffington fans, then you know for the Gray series, she does not put out a cover and she does not put out a synopsis. She just lets you know that the next book is coming. And as far as the Gray list, I've read Chemistry and that's it. I do plan at some time to read the other books, but chemistry was so hard. I didn't get into chemistry until I was probably about 50% in. Next is Sunset Over Napa Valley by Monica Gardner. It comes out on April 28th. I am not familiar with Monica Gardner, but it does sound like a really interesting book. It says, since their friendship as teenagers over 30 years ago, Louisiana native Remy Landry and Bianca Fuentes Perez have seen each other through the best and worst of times. Now, as Remy grieves the sudden loss of her beloved husband of 25 years, and Bianca struggles with the fallout of a divorce she didn't see coming, the women are amid their greatest challenges yet. Remy and Gerard spent their honeymoon and summers in Napa and on the Sonoma coast. Their love of wine led them to buy a Victorian home in wine country and then a winery on the site of an age-old vineyard. They spoke endlessly about retiring to run their winery, but with Gerard gone, Remy must sort through the things and reevaluate their assets and her future. Bianca is grateful to be there with Remy. After all, Remy was her rock when Bianca's husband left, and throughout the breast cancer diagnosis that followed. Now in remission and with her daughter a thriving college freshman, Bianca hopes for a brighter future. But excuse me, when Remy unearths a secret about her late husband, so shattering that Bianca can't help the past casts a shadow over everything and everyone. Emotional and relatable, here is a captivating novel of the bonds of friendship, the power of love and forgiveness, and the revelation that sometimes comfort lies where you least expect it. That sounds like a really good friendship story. I know they're going to have some ups and downs, and most friendships do, especially when it's 25 years or more. I have friends that I've had for over 30 something years, like friends I've had since I was 4 years old, another friend at 12, one at, or two at 7. So I have a group of friends that I've had for over 30 years, and you definitely go through ups and downs. And so this one looks pretty interesting to me. Somewhere Soft to Land by Kia Alante comes out on April 21st. I do not know who this author is, but I'm definitely interested in this story. So it says, DeFizz has always felt a bit off. Maybe it's the family baggage, or maybe it's just how she's wired. Depleted by cycles of burnout, she lives in a perpetual state of bracing for another lost job, another lost home, another piece of evidence she isn't doing being right. Okay, that doesn't make any sense, but that's what they wrote. If it weren't for the encouragement and occasional overstepping of her magnetic best friend, Tatiana, DeFizz doesn't know if she'd have made it as far as she has. Despite their differences, the two women share a desire to be their authentic selves and to shed the grip of the respectability politics uh, they've been taught should govern their lives. Just as each begins to find their way, a sudden passing of Tatiana's child upends everything. Oh, wow. Defiza rushes to Tatiana's hometown to help her friend prepare for the funeral. But when she arrives, Defiz is immersed in an unsettling conflict. Two diametrically opposed families, one who seems intent on seeding doubt about Tatiana's capability as a mother. When Tatiana asks her for the ultimate favor, the Fizz must choose between loyalty at the expense of her own well being and authentically at the expense of her most valued friendship. A riveting exploration of sisterhood, what it means to mother and be mothered, and what it means to be well, somewhere soft to land, reckons with something funny, sometimes fraught friendships between women with divergent ideologies, aspirations, personalities, and paths. That one sounds a bit deep. I don't know if I remember anything about a mother losing a child, but I am definitely going to get into that one. Like, yeah. And then we have Like a Summer Love by Naima Simone. And so um, I'm familiar with Naima Simone. I have a couple of her books, although I've never read them. I have Church Girl and I have Played, but I have not read them. But I've heard that both of those books are good. So let's check out what she's talking about here. For Shar Dennison, not even a voice that rivals Aretha is enough to save their failed singing career. After 6 years of choosing the spotlight, Cher brings her dreams back home for a fresh start. But a shocking surprise upon her return hints at a sizzling summer fling from her past, one she's never been able to forget. Award winning producer Judah J.P. Preston rolls into the small town of Rosebend for one reason, to find the singer responsible for the best demo he's ever heard. It's a solid distraction after a scandalizing tryst in London turned sour. Yet when he discovers his sought after songstress and the young woman who broke his heart are one and the same, they'll both have to decide if they'll have what it takes for an encore. I like music. I really do like books about music. So, yeah, I think I'd like to read that. I have three debut novels. I have Love by the Book by Jessica George, comes out on April 7th. It says Remy is lucky. Her debut novel on her three best friends became an instant bestseller when it's released, and her agent and publisher are clamoring for a follow up. But just as Remy's creative inspiration seems to leave her, so too do her friends. One moved to New York, one gets pregnant, and one gets back together with her awful boyfriend. After an ill advised one night stand complicates matter further, Remy is left deeply alone and unable to find her next book idea. Simone is successful, a kindergarten teacher with a passion for kids and a well paid side hustle that affords her all the material comforts she desires. She doesn't have time for a robust social life, and Simone needs is her closest knit. Okay. All Simone needs is her close knit family. But after the true nature of her work is revealed, they cut her off, and she realizes for the first time how isolated she is. When Simone and Remy bump into each other, literally, in a bookstore, it isn't exactly soulmates at first sight. Simone is guarded and prickly. Remy is insecure and heartbroken, and each woman is harboring a secret, and yet they might just be the missing piece the other one has been searching for. If only they can let each other in. Can Simone help Remy make one of the most important decisions of her life? And can Remy help Simone recover all that she's lost? In Jessica George's heartwarming, funny, and soulful second novel, oh, it said debut, well, whatever, she explores the restorative nature of female friendship and the life changing power of platonic love. So I guess most of these are going to be about friendship. Next, this one says it's also a debut novel. It says Leave Your Mess at Home by, oh my God, forgive me for butchering this name, Talani Akinola, comes out on April 14th. The Long siblings are really botching their parents' American dream. Sola Lang, eldest daughter, estranged from the family, a secret back home in Chicago for the first time in decades. Oh, okay. Is secretly back home for the first time in decades. She's a newly single, and recently disgraced influencer trying to quietly put her life back together again. The other three Lounge siblings aren't doing much better. Angela is in love with her best friend who just got engaged to someone else. Karen, a college junior and the baby of the family, is grappling with her sexuality and self-image. And Ola, the golden child with the baby of his own on the way, is questioning his marriage and how to raise a black son in America. Sola unexpected returns set them on a crash course towards each other, and when the four siblings find themselves together again at their Nigerian immigrant parents' Thanksgiving table, a decade's worth of secrets and lifetime of resentments explode to the fore. In the wreckage of their fateful union, each lounge is forced to reckon with the past, take stock of what really matters, and find a way back to each other. Big hearted, hilarious, and poignant, Leave Your Mess at Home is an insightful debut about forgiveness, unconditional love, and becoming who you want to be. Asking the question, what do we owe to our families, and what do we owe to ourselves? That definitely sounds interesting. And next, the last debut novel is Tell Me How It Ends by Adrian Thurman. Comes out on April 14th. Uh, Mia Harper may not have a plan for her life, but she knows what she wants to be doing. Falling for someone's dusty son, promising forever, she'd rather spend the summer after college having disappointing one night stands and watching crime show reruns. At least she won't be caught off guard since she already knows how those stories end. But when her very pregnant and newly single sister calls for help, Nia reroutes, stumbling back home to suburban Connecticut and into the business plan of her sister's new matchmaking company. Nia views on how love remains as bleak as her career prospects. But it but if becoming the inaugural client can distract her from existential questions like what am I even doing with my life? Kata, Nia can suffer through a few bad dates and call it a favor. When Ro Jackson finds Nia stalled on the side of a road, he isn't put off by her attitude. His steady disposition and Nia's opposite makes him exactly what she needs, a friend in town who can handle her just as she is. But as Ro talks to Nia through a summer failed matches, she finds herself drawn to more than just his poetic outlook on friendship. Nia hadn't seen this one coming, but as she and Ro grow closer, she will have to decide what's more important, needing to know the end of every story or jumping into the unknown. Okay. Um, yeah, that one sounds good. And then last but not least, we have Where the Cicadas Sing, Someone Weeps by Llewellyn E. Piper. I think this one is historical fiction, if I'm not mistaken. It comes out on April 7th. It says, set in, well, yeah, it's historical fiction. Set in the 1880s in Vicksburg, Mississippi, while the Cicadas sing, explore the harsh realities faced by Black families in the Deep South, where the legacy of slavery persists despite the promise of freedom. On a cotton plantation where white dominance remains unchallenged and the law often ignores just injustice, the community struggles against economic dependency and racial violence. Through the eyes of a young protagonist, readers witness the devastating impact of lynching and the courage required to survive in a world defined by cruelty and oppression. This journey becomes a testament to resilience, faith, and the enduring hope of dignity and freedom, blending historical context with powerful human storytelling, while the Cicadas sing invites readers to reflect on the lasting legacy of racial inequality and the strength of the human spirit in the face of overwhelming adversity. And yes, I love historical fiction. I do intend to read it. So that was the 9 books that I chose that I'm going to be reading. I know there are other um, new releases out there, but I've decided I'm just gonna pick the books I like because I really can't tell what you guys like it, so I can only pick what I like. And instead of just picking random books, I thought this was a better way to connect with you guys. Because if we like the same books or if we're interested in the same books, then it kind of maybe lets you know you're in the right place. Let me know which one of these books you're interested in, if any. And until next time,